The 2026 World Cup just lost all three of its host nations in one knockout round. Canada were swept away by Morocco. Mexico pushed England into chaos at the Azteca and still went out. The United States collapsed under Belgian pressure in Seattle. That is the story before we even name the quarterfinalists. The biggest World Cup ever is now moving forward without the countries that opened the doors. The party is still alive, but the hosts are watching from outside it, and that changes the emotional weather of the tournament. This was supposed to be the World Cup of North America. 3 countries, new cities, bigger crowds, more games, more hope. Instead, the quarterfinals arrive with a colder feeling. The tournament is no longer about welcome, it is about survival. The quarterfinal bracket now has 4 arguments. France against Morocco is power against resistance, and a 2022 semifinal memory returning with new pressure. Spain against Belgium is control against opportunism. One team that has not conceded against one team that punished every mistake the United States gave them. Norway against England is the striker story. Haaland has announced himself on the World Cup stage, while England survived a night that could have swallowed them. Argentina against Switzerland is romance against structure. Messi still bending time, Switzerland still refusing to break. This is not a bracket full of identical favorites. It is a bracket full of styles. There is possession, chaos, counterattack, penalty nerve, defensive control, superstar gravity, and the terrifying simplicity of a striker who only needs one cross. France did not blow Paraguay away. They survived them. That matters. A 1-0 knockout win tells a different story than a highlight reel. It says, the favorite can be dragged into discomfort and still find the moment. Desire Dao came from the bench and changed the texture of the match, driving into the box, forcing the foul, and giving Kylian Mbappé the penalty that sent France through. France's journey is not just dominance, it is depth. If Mbappé is the headline, the reason France looked dangerous is that the help keeps arriving. The warning sign is that France can look flat for long stretches. The comfort is that flat France still have enough individual power to win a knockout match. That is what makes them frightening. They do not need 90 minutes of beauty. They need one overload, one run, one penalty box panic. Morocco's story is not surprise anymore. That was 2022. In 2026, Morocco looked like a program that believes it belongs here. Canada had home continent energy and a chance to keep a host story alive. Morocco gave them nothing. 3-0, controlled, clean, ruthless. The defensive identity is still the spine, but this team is no longer only surviving through blocks and counterpunches. They can suffocate, then play. Against France, their story becomes bigger than revenge. It becomes proof that a semifinal run was not a miracle. It was a warning. The key is emotional discipline. Morocco can make a match feel smaller and louder at the same time. Fewer spaces for the opponent, more pressure on every pass, more belief with every duel won. That is how an underdog stops being an underdog. Spain eliminated Portugal 1-0, and the score almost undersells the message. Through 5 matches, Spain have not conceded. In a tournament full of noise, that kind of control is terrifying. Lamine Yamal gives them electricity. Mikel Oyarzabal has goals. Mikel Merino gives them late-game threat. But the real story is balance. Spain are not just pretty possession, they are structure with teeth. And on the other side of that 1-0 was Cristiano Ronaldo walking into the end of a World Cup road. Spain did not just advance, they closed a chapter. The controversy here is emotional more than legal. For Ronaldo fans, it feels like football gave him one final knockout door, and Spain shut it without ceremony. For Spain, that is the point. They are not here to honor endings. They are here to erase opponents. Belgium's 4-1 win over the United States was not a masterpiece of constant pressure. It was colder than that. It was punishment. The U.S. made mistakes in the box, in the air, and in decision-making around the goalkeeper. Charles de Ketelaere turned those mistakes into goals, and an assist. That tells Belgium's journey perfectly. They have not always looked smooth. They have looked old in places, fragile in others, and still dangerous enough to destroy you when concentration drops. Against Spain, Belgium may not control the match, but they only need a few loose seconds. That is the matchup's danger. Spain want to remove randomness. Belgium live for the moment when randomness appears. A bad clearance, a loose touch, a goalkeeper trapped between decisions. Belgium's story is not perfection. It is consequence. Norway gave the tournament its loudest football shock. Brazil are out, not on penalties, not by accident. Norway beat them 2-1, and Erling Haaland put his name through the middle of the story. A go-ahead header in the 79th minute, a stoppage-time strike to finish it. Brazil's aura still matters in a World Cup. Beating Brazil changes how everyone looks at you. Norway's journey is simple and frightening. For years they had a superstar waiting for a stage big enough. Now the stage is here, and Haaland is scoring like he owns it. The deeper story is that Norway do not have to dominate possession to dominate fear. Every defender knows the cross can come. Every center back knows the collision is coming. Every goalkeeper knows the shot may arrive before the body language announces it. England's 3-2 win over Mexico was not comfortable. That is why it may matter. They built a lead through Jude Bellingham, conceded before halftime, then had to survive a red card and an Azteca crowd that could feel history moving. Mexico were trying to defend a home unbeaten streak and carry a host nation deeper into the tournament. England had to suffer, run, defend, and trust Harry Kane from the penalty spot. Their journey is no longer about talent on paper. It is about whether scar tissue can become belief. The controversy is that England's best and worst habits arrived together. Elite players, huge pressure, messy control, and one penalty moment deciding whether the story becomes disaster or resilience. Against Norway, they cannot just survive. They have to manage fear before Haaland turns it into a result. Argentina are still alive because Lionel Messi is still changing endings. Egypt pushed them into danger. Messi missed another penalty in this tournament, and for a moment the defending champions looked like they were carrying too much age, too much memory, too much pressure. Then Messi scored and assisted late, and the story bent back toward Argentina. This journey is not clean. It is emotional, unstable, and almost unfair to the nervous system. But that is why Argentina remain dangerous. They do not need to look perfect. They need one more moment. The defending champions are not moving like a machine anymore. They are moving like a memory that refuses to fade, that can be fragile. It can also be terrifying when the game reaches the final 10 minutes. Switzerland reached the quarterfinals by doing the least glamorous thing in football. They refused to disappear. 0-0 against Colombia. Penalties, nerves, Ruben Vargas with the decisive kick. Switzerland's journey is not built for viral chaos. It is built for frustration. They drag matches into narrow spaces, trust the structure, and dare opponents to stay patient. Against Argentina, that matters. If Switzerland can make the match small, every messy touch becomes louder, every mistake heavier, every penalty possibility more real. Switzerland's story is not about romance. It is about making romance uncomfortable. They are the team that turns a great narrative into a practical problem. Find space, stay calm, beat the structure, survive the shootout threat. The round of 16 had everything a tournament needs and everything fans argue about afterward. Brazil's elimination changed the ceiling for Norway. Portugal's defeat made Ronaldo's World Cup farewell feel brutally final. England's win came with red card chaos and a penalty finish in Mexico City. The United States' exit was not just a loss, it was a collapse built from repeated defensive errors. And the biggest controversy is not one whistle. It is the new format's emotional cost. More teams meant more dreams, but by the quarterfinals, all three hosts were gone, two icons were gone, and the tournament suddenly felt colder. The new expanded format gave us more knockout matches, more national storylines, and more chances for chaos. It also created a sharper emotional drop. One round can now erase an entire continent's hosting dream in 3 different cities. So what is the quarterfinal story? France are trying to turn depth into destiny. Morocco are trying to prove history can repeat without becoming a fluke. Spain are trying to defend perfection. Belgium are trying to turn mistakes into a path. Norway are trying to ride the scariest striker in the tournament past England. England are trying to turn suffering into momentum. Argentina are trying to keep the last dance alive. Switzerland are trying to make everyone uncomfortable. 8 teams remain, and now every match asks the same question. Whose story is strong enough to survive when there is nowhere left to hide? That is why this quarterfinal round feels bigger than a fixture list. It is a test of identity. Favorites have to prove they can suffer. Underdogs have to prove they are not only surviving on emotion. Legends have to outrun time. And teams built on structure have to survive the one moment structure cannot control.